friends, welcome back to Jenny and Tony, and welcome back to another car update. I think this is going to be my last car update actually, and I'm so sorry that it took me so long to get this to you guys. It's just that a lot has happened, which if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you have already seen all of the things that have been happening, and I just didn't want to, just for the sake of my own mental health, come on here and have to share all that while I was still emotional about it and still processing everything, and just kind of in a state where I really just needed to take some time for myself to accept what was happening, figure out, you know, my feelings, and just kind of like what needed to happen next, how I was going to survive it, what was going to happen in our family. And it was just a lot. So it was a huge transition, which I will be talking about today. And I am ready now to talk about it. And I feel like I have taken plenty of time, probably more than I needed, to just take care of myself, my family, and my mental health, and come on here and share when I felt it was the right time. Okay, so just to continue on with what's been going on lately, I will do a very, very brief summary just in case anybody is new. And if you are new, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on this channel, and I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much to all of you guys who have been praying for us and thinking, you know, positive thoughts for us, sending encouragement, sending love, and sending cards. Thank you so much. We appreciate it very much. And I'll leave some information in my description box if you want to send Tony a card. And we have a P.O. box set up if you want to send him a get well card. So thank you very, very much for those of you that have sent cards. It is one of his favorite things for me to read the cards and just kind of, you know, read all the messages that you send. It just makes him really happy and it lifts his spirits. So thank you very much. So if you are new here, my name is Jenny and my husband's name is Tony, and we're an interabled couple. Tony has muscular dystrophy, and he has been going through a lot of medical issues in about the last year and a half. So he has been very sick, and some of those issues have been life-threatening, and he has been hospitalized a lot the last year and a half. And all of this has just kind of been coming to a head kind of over the summer. And he was just, we were calling 911 constantly. He was always sick. His vitals were crashing. He was getting weaker and weaker after every spike or drop that would happen. Like his body was just giving out. And so muscular dystrophy was getting worse and worse each time that his body was getting sick. And so it's just been really, really hard for him to bounce back from some of these issues with his vitals and his endocrine system and all these kind of mystery issues that he's been having. We don't have an umbrella term or diagnosis for what has been happening, so they're calling it a zebra case. His case was seen by the Mayo Clinic remotely, and they didn't have any other recommendations for us but to just treat the symptoms. So that is what we have been doing, and he's seen countless specialists. So whatever body system you can think of, he has seen a specialist for. He's had many exploratory surgeries, procedures, tests, allergy people looking at him, autoimmune, infectious disease. He's been through everything in the past year and a half at 4 different hospitals. So where it's ended up is that he was discharged over the summer to a specialty rehab center. And we were very, very hopeful that with intensive rehabilitation, that he could gain back enough strength to start to feel better, because he had started a new thyroid medicine and that seemed to be really helping with his vitals. So we figured, you know, now that we've got that a little more stable, let's give his body a chance to strengthen and bounce back and see what could happen. And he was just incredibly weak. So that was the hope for the rehab facility. And he ended up there for it was a couple months. So he was there for about 2 months, and I got a call. And so this is now the current update that I'm now giving you, is from this point forward. So I received a call from the rehab center, and they said, I'm sorry, but your insurance will not approve any more rehab for Tony because he's not getting better and he's not improving. And so they're not going to pay for something where the patient isn't improving. So of course I got all mad and upset like I always do, because if you have gone through a medical journey with yourself or someone you love, you're probably familiar with the fact that insurances suck and that they're always trying to cut you off from benefits and services that should be provided. So I was able to find the code for someone who has muscular dystrophy or has a disability, because they are not required to make progress like a standard patient would make progress. Because he has this neuromuscular condition, he would not make progress as quickly as someone else who just got sick and needed to rehabilitate. So I made sure that it was filed the right way, and we resubmitted the claim, and of course that was denied too. So at that point they were trying to send him home to the point where he couldn't even breathe, he couldn't eat. He was incredibly sick and incredibly weak, and his doctor was so outraged by it. And this doctor ended up being, we got really close to, this is his pulmonologist, but he was, really close with us. We had gotten to know him over the past few months because he had been in that rehab center. This was the 3rd time. And each time we ended up with the same doctor. So he was a really nice man, very good bedside manner, and he just had such a friendly demeanor. So he pulled me aside and he was like, if they send him home like this, he's going to pass away. He is medically fragile. There is no way this man can go home. So I really think you need to keep fighting. So of course I was in full-blown advocacy mode, full-blown, mad as a wet hen mode. And I called my mom and I told her that I was going over to the facility and that I was going to have a meeting with the doctors and figure out what we could do to get him more rehab, because I just felt in my heart that that's what he needed, was more rehab. So my mom said she wanted to go with me, and my dad said he wanted to go with me, because I think they just knew that something was going to happen that I was going to need support for. And looking back on it, it was like all just laid out for me, the support that I needed, that I didn't even know that I needed at that time. So we all arrived to the facility, and the doctors, I had called and said I was coming. So his doctors, 3 of his doctors, said they wanted to speak with me in the conference room, and my parents were with me, and they just said, like, have you thought about where this is going? And I said, yeah, I have, and I'm really not happy with where it's going. I feel like they're not giving him rehab. I feel like I don't think it's going well. And he said, no, that's not what we mean. We mean, like, Tony's not getting better. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about that he might not make it, and that his body might give out at some point? His lungs are giving out. His body might give out at some point. Have you prepared at all for that? Or how can we help you with that? Because we want to give you the right information, but we want to keep fighting for Tony, but we also want you to know where he's at on the journey so that you can realistically look at this and plan for this. And it was very, very difficult to hear people talk that way. I had already had doctors talk to me that way in previous hospitals, and it just never made sense to me. It never made sense why you would want to plan for someone not to make it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I feel like you just give it all you've got, and then of course we have no control over life or death, but it's like I felt like it wasn't even appropriate to talk about that. And they kind of forced that into the conversation, like it's time to talk about that. And it ended up being good for me. It was good for my mental health because I had pushed it aside so much that I was living in like an alternate reality. And I was finally able to face some of that. And they said it all in a very kind way, but they really believed at that time, and this is just the information that I'm given, that it's time to focus on his comfort right now. It's time to stop doing so many surgeries, so many procedures. It is time to start focusing on Tony's comfort and quality of life in the next few months. And so I just, like I said, I had to wait to do this video until I could speak of it without such extreme emotion. But if I could describe the emotion for that day, it was literally like we might as well be planning a funeral. That's what the energy was for me that day. Because we talked about all different options. We talked about hospice. They had already called a hospice worker to come speak with me. They talked about locations. They talked about like counseling available for the family. I mean, it just felt like the saddest conversation you could possibly have, you know, about someone that you love. And I just remember feeling like this huge rain cloud just storming over me and feeling like, gosh, I just don't have control over any of this. I don't. And I don't know how to handle that. And, you know, and I as a person who believes in God, and as a person who believes that I can pray and that, you know, I can receive comfort and peace and direction and guidance, it still just felt like it wasn't going to be my choice in the end, you know, and that I would be carried through it, but that it was like this other thing that was happening no matter if I was on board or not. It was like a separate thing that was just happening. And it's a very humbling experience. See, and I didn't want to cry. And I don't think I really will, but if I get a little emotional or teary-eyed, I think that's pretty normal. But I just didn't want to be bawling through the whole video because it's very hard to communicate and put yourself out there when you're that emotional. But it is an emotional thing. So, yeah, I just felt like it was this thing that was happening and you're helpless to change it. And of course, all I thought about was Alex, our 6-year-old. Well, he's 5, he'll be 6 next week. But I just kept thinking about Alex, and I just kept thinking, gosh, Alex can't lose his dad. Like this is going too far. This is going too far. So anyway, fast forward, because you can imagine that's like its own acceptance journey, grief journey. Basically, hospice was what was recommended because he was in pain and he should not be in pain. And he had no function left, so he can't move any of his body. He can't breathe on his own. He can't eat solid food. And it's like, okay, so we just need to make him comfortable. He should not be in pain. And I 100% agreed with that. So we got him signed up for hospice. We found a place right next to our home. I mean, it's literally 2 to 3 minutes away from our home. So I can come in and out multiple times a day if I want to. I was really happy about that. And the next thing was just getting him set up there. And of course, the insurance being, you know, the total jerks that they are, they were trying to constantly discharge him during this period because they just didn't want to wait like 3 days for the bed to open up at the nursing home place. So they just, you know, made our life a living hell by constantly threatening to kick him out of the hospital. And the doctor's saying, no, that can't happen. He needs to be, you know, in this hospital on this equipment, and trying to buy 24 hours at a time until finally there was a room that opened up at the new facility and he was able to be safely transferred. So that was a whole thing. Then I went into the phase of the insurance nightmare part of it, where our social worker had accidentally signed us up for the wrong kind of insurance that we would need for him to live in the place. And it took us 3 months just to sign up for that, because we had signed up for it because she said one day you might need this. So it's probably good to sign up for it now, and that way, you know, one day if you need it, because it takes like months to go through. So, but it was the wrong insurance. So we found that out when we got to the facility, and I was in the office all day with Brittany. Bless her heart. Brittany, thank you for being amazing if you ever watch this video. Brittany and Adriana are rock stars. They helped me through all that, and they were so sweet and kind and patient as I worked through stacks and stacks of papers, starting from scratch, collecting all of our information. Had to go through and find all of his medical records from the last year and a half. I had to do all of our financial stuff and report that. And meanwhile, I am a person who is registering her husband for hospice and her son for kindergarten on the exact same day. So that was the same day. I mean, you talk about polarizing life events. It was a very, very strange irony that I signed Tony up for hospice and signed Alex up for kindergarten the exact same day. So Brittany and Adriana got us through that. I had Alex in the office with me, and they gave him coloring books and colors, and they gave him these cute little stuffed animals that had like little positive sayings on them for encouragement. And so he's just kind of trying to learn how to read, and so he was like reading the words, and it was really sweet the way that they loved on him and took care of him during that time, because he would just be with me at that office for like hours on end over the course of those few days when I was trying to get Tony in the facility. So meanwhile, Noelle was going off to college and getting settled in her dorm, and the boys were starting school. So it has been a huge transition this fall for our family. I will say, we went from a family of 5 living at home to a family of 3. So that is really like heartbreaking. You know, it's a lot less laundry, I will say, but it is really weird not having, you know, Tony in the house, although he was mostly in the hospital. So that one I'm not feeling that one as much, because I'm personally happy that he's not always in the hospital. And I'll get to that later, but being at the new facility, he just has such a more positive experience of life than he did when he was just home for a day or two and then being rushed to the hospital. So for his sake, I'm really glad for him that he's, you know, in a place where his medical needs are stabilized, and he's got a care team working with him, and he truly does just feel better overall. Alex is doing awesome in kindergarten. He loves it, and he's made a ton of new friends, and he loves his teacher. She's super sweet. I did tell his teacher about what's going on, just so that she knows, so that if he gets sad or if he acts out or just, I don't know. I just thought that it was a major enough life event that she should know about it, that his dad just recently went to a skilled nursing facility for hospice. You know, I feel like that's not the typical experience of a 5-year-old. And so she needed to know, so that if there was anything, you know, come up, that she could tell me. So she was very sweet, very supportive. And then it was just about transitioning Tony to this new place and trying to figure out what our life looks like and what it looks like to move forward. So then Tony gets all settled in the new facility, and his first week there was really rocky. He was not feeling good, because picture like if you're, you know, in a rehab facility for like 2 months, and you're used to a certain kind of bed, you're used to a certain temperature in the room, you've got certain people taking care of you, and it's like that for like 2.5 months. And then all of a sudden you change over and you have to get used to a new bed, used to new people. Everything's different. So for him, it was like, even though he loved the people at the new place, he was kind of telling him the bed's not comfortable, I don't like the food, it's too cold in here. So he had like all kinds of opinions. So he was not super happy the first week or two, but thankfully, the owner of the facility, or the guy who runs it, he is amazing. And I told him all the things that Tony was saying, and they ordered him a bigger bed, like a custom bed, because he is 6'2", and I think that's why he was uncomfortable, because the bed wasn't long enough. So they actually ordered him a really big custom bed. He thinks it's very comfortable. It's got a very nice mattress. So he is happy with that now. They like found out that he likes Arby's sandwiches. So they always go off and buy him Arby's sandwiches. Like, I try to bring the sandwiches when I go to visit, but if I don't bring one in a day or two or three, they're bringing him, you know, his own. They just go and bring it to him. I think it's like 2 for $7. So whenever they notice that he's like low on Arby's sandwiches in his fridge, they'll go grab a couple more. So they are very sweet to him, very nice. And they're also giving him like vanilla shakes and smoothies and things that they know he will eat and get his calories in. They've got the temperature set in the room just like he likes it. We've got him all set up with an Alexa so that he can just do voice commands and he can play music. He can listen to podcasts, whatever. And thank you to his family for sending that, because that was a gift from his family just to make life a little better for him in his room. I've got the room all kind of, I don't want to say decorated, but it's like, you know, family pictures, plants, pictures, you know, just kind of like comforts of home, just so when he looks up, he can kind of see our faces and not feel like he's in a facility, you know. I've got our mirror. Like, I tried to take things from our home. So I took like our bathroom mirror and put it as his dresser mirror, just so that it's like stuff that's familiar to him. Also, because I don't really have the extra money, but it kind of worked out, you know. And I just took like plants from our house and brought them there, and pictures from our house and brought them there. So it ended up working out. So he kind of had some familiar things in the room. And then since he got a private room, it still has the 2 beds, but the whole room belongs to Tony. So I decided to make the other side of the room Alex's corner. So I decorated all that and just kind of made it like a fun hangout place for Alex, you know, trying to make this as positive as it could be, and some way for Alex to feel excited about going to visit, because I knew we'd be visiting a lot. So I wanted to make sure, you know, that Alex had a fun place to go to visit. And so the nightstand that's between the 2 beds is a snack station. So we have all the snacks in there. And then the other dresser that would belong to the other resident, if there was one, is all Alex's toys and art supplies and coloring books. So we've got that decked out. And then we have a TV for Alex to watch Disney movies and just whatever movies he wants to watch with Daddy, or if they want to watch YouTube or whatever. So it's all set up for them to hang out. And we've even done slumber parties. And we just, you know, we try to make it the best we can, you know. I think that he is doing pretty well right now. But the interesting thing that happened when he first got there, did a couple of weeks just kind of settling in, and then the interesting thing that happened was that they offered him 100 days of skilled nursing. So they said that if he didn't want to just do hospice, like if he wanted to maybe keep hospice as an option for later, they would do 100 days of skilled nursing with him and try to rehabilitate him a little bit. And, you know, we left it totally up to him. Like, this was not a decision that I should be making. It was a decision that Tony should make. And he was very happy to take that offer and do 100 days of skilled nursing. So that ended up working out really well, because it's not that we won't be doing hospice in the future, or that it's not a good thing to do or whatever. It's not anything against hospice. It's just that the way for him to get therapy is to not be classified as hospice. So we gave him the option. He still gets pain management. I mean, this isn't like if he got hospice, he would, have pain management, but if he gets skilled nursing, he doesn't. He is definitely getting pain management. He gets as much as he wants, when he wants. They are very, very good at managing pain. There's doctors that come every few days and just adjust and tweak prescriptions, whatever he needs. So as long as his pain levels are very low and as long as he is comfortable, he keeps saying he just wants to do therapy. And he's got some really great therapists who are working with him to regain his ability to sit up, because he did lose his ability to sit up the last few times he got really, really ill. And it's not a muscular thing, like he can't sit up that way at all, but it's more like he lost the ability for someone else to sit him up, because he can't breathe when he's sitting up. And for some reason it cuts off his breath. So his therapists are so amazing, and they are working with him and with breathing equipment, like giving him oxygen, and just kind of finding little ways like, okay, we did 45 degrees this time, let's try a little bit more. And it's very small increments of success, but they are doing a wonderful job working with him and just really fighting for him to rehabilitate, however that's going to look. Other than that, we're just, enjoying fall, looking forward to all the stuff that we do in the fall, the pumpkin patches, and, Halloween and all the things for fall. So sometimes we go up to Noelle to visit her where her college is at, and we'll spend a little time with her, and other times she comes down here, and we just try to make it all work somehow. Like Alex's birthday is Friday, so we are gonna have a family party, like a regular family party and friend party, but we're also going to have a party at the rehab center and get it all decorated and let Tony watch him open a couple presents and have like multiple parties, just because I just try to keep him in the mix, so that instead of having to tell him everything that happened, I can just kind of do some of it with him. So we have been doing it that way, and that's been working. But he did have an idea that he wanted to do a weekly chat with you guys. Now that he is feeling a little bit stronger and able to speak a little bit easier, because for a while it was really hard for him to talk for a few minutes without kind of losing his breath. So he asked me just a few days ago if I could record him giving a message to you guys, and then he said, can we please just like keep this going and do this? He said every day, but I don't know if that's, I don't know if we're gonna make it happen every day, because I would have to like upload those all the time and everything. But I did tell him we could at least do it once a week, where he talked to you guys, gave y'all an encouraging message, said hello, and then that way you can kind of still see him too, and not just me, since the channel is Jenny and Tony. So I think this will be my last car update. After that, you'll still see us, but you might see us different ways. You might see me doing a little day in the life where I go about my day and I bring the camera to the rehab center and let you guys talk with Tony or whatever, or it might be an update from Tony. So I hope that sounds good to you guys. Thank you again for your patience. Thank you for your love, your prayers, and support. And if you're going through something in your life where life does not look like the story you were planning in your mind, and you feel like it's just out of your control and going in a completely different direction, I really hope that you can, if you can't feel it right now, I hope that you can believe that and have faith that you'll be okay, and that life has a way of working out, okay? So that is what I'm learning right now. I'm learning that even if it doesn't look perfect, even if it doesn't look like what I thought it was gonna look like, there can still be peace, there can still be happiness, there can still be joy, and it can still be a good life, okay? So just hang on. I know it's really hard in the moment, and I'm gonna get like choked up again, but it's very hard in the moment to see how anything can be good again, or that you'll even smile or laugh, because it just feels like everything's heavy. Just hang on. The rain can't last forever, the storm can't last forever, the sun does come out again. you will smile again. You will feel joy again in some way, in some shape, in some form. So just hang on. I love you. I believe in you. And we'll get through this together. Thank you guys for being here with us on this journey, and we'll see you next time. Bye.